All right, what's going on, y'all? So today's going to be a little bit of a rant about how social media in the fitness industry is literally killing people. And if it wasn't a joke before, it's absolutely a joke now. Today I'm going to talk about what I've personally been seeing and dealing with people that, has made, one, bodybuilding is for sure dead. And two, it's affecting all fitness across the board, even from running, hybrid athletes, all of it. So this is stuff that I've literally personally been dealing with and seeing guys. So I've been having guys come to me, early 20s. I even had a guy in his late teens coming to me, and the amount of steroids they're blasting is more than I ever even considered when I was competing as an IFBB pro. I'm talking 700 milligrams of tren, stuff like that. Some of them came from other coaches, literally prescribing these protocols. Some were doing this just on their own because they see it, popularized on TikTok and all that. So I'm talking young guys in their 20s, even guys that aren't, maybe that young. Their first cycle just blasting out of the gates, blasting steroids out of the gates before they've even put on any bit of muscle naturally. Everybody's just wanting to jump into it, and it's because of social media. Everybody sees you can make money online and have that fame and everything, and it's making everybody rush everything. Back in the day, I got into bodybuilding and fitness, all that, before social media was really, what it is today. I came up in the MySpace era, so really all we just had was magazines and then people like Rich Piana on YouTube. And so really to learn about any of this stuff, you had to be on forums and all of that. And even with that, anybody that was in bodybuilding was, that's when it was still kind of like a cult hobby. I'm not even going to call it a sport, but kind of like a cult following, that people on the outside of bodybuilding thought it was, for freaks, frankly. So if you were into it, you were passionate about lifting weights, all of that. Now nobody's passionate about it. Everybody just wants to do it so they can get famous on social media. The motivation behind it has completely changed, and it's allowing now everybody to have kind of this kind of quick fix mentality behind it of, instead of taking the time to really develop the body, develop training, get the diet right, people are just jumping to steroids. And back in the day, guys were scared to get on their first cycle of just, test, just taking 400 to 500 milligrams of test. Now guys are jumping to their first cycle, mega blasting. And I said this a year and a half ago when I retired from pro bodybuilding. One of the main reasons I did was because of the steroid culture now. And, steroids absolutely have always been unhealthy. But what it's gotten to now is absolutely killing people. And I said this a year and a half ago. We're going to start seeing people drop like absolute flies. When I was coming up back in the day, you'd occasionally hear of a bodybuilder from the 90s or 2000s passed away from a heart attack or something. But what you didn't see is on the forums would be no-name bodybuilders that never competed or never made it pro, dealing with complications, kidney issues, some liver issues, not as much, but kidney and heart issues, quite a lot. I personally know of a dialysis nurse, and she says you would be blown away the amount of people on dialysis now in the centers are retired bodybuilders, people that were, blasting back in the day. And so what's happening is you're getting all these kids and new guys in the gym blasting out of the gate because that's what they see on social media and they want it now, not understanding that this absolutely can affect their health in the future. This is affecting everybody all the way down to running and being a hybrid athlete. I personally know and have done consultations or work with some hybrid athletes, prominent hybrid athletes you would know, even not even hybrid athletes, a couple runners that they're juicing. And they don't claim it online either. That's where, the fitness industry has completely warped everybody's minds and it's taken away kind of the joy of training. You know, back in the day, before social media, you know, everyone was kind of doing their preferred style of training just to train for them. Now everybody's a clone of each other, a clone of what they see online. You know, that's where with bodybuilding, everyone's starting to look the same. Everybody's running the same drugs. Everybody's training exactly the same way. You know, back in the day on the bodybuilding stage, you had a lot more variance, you know. You have a guy that looked like Lee Priest next to someone like Ronnie Coleman. You go back even to the golden era, you know, looking at Arnold versus Lou Ferrigno. Everybody trained their own way and had a unique look. And that's just with bodybuilding. Now, even on the running side, I saw a reel the other day of a guy making fun of runners about how now with social media, everybody's got to tell, you know, what incline they were going at, what pace they were going at, you know, their stats from this mile to this mile. And everything now is done for social media rather than the joy of training. And now everybody's just a clone of each other. And it's taken away so much of the joy and excitement of it, but more so than that, it's literally killing people. I predicted this a year and a half ago, and every year we seem to see more and more accounts of prominent bodybuilders and people in the fitness industry passing away from complications regarding, you know, PED use. My fear is, and how we're heading is, we're gonna see the numbers just start skyrocketing. Because back in the day before social media, you know, you had to be a little bit of a freak mindset to just come out the gates blasting what guys are blasting now. And now it's becoming very, very common of what I'm seeing. You know, guys coming to me and then they don't believe me when I tell them, you know, that these doses are just absurd. The compounds they're using is absurd. People think I'm lying. So, and you know, we have this problem. It's a twofold problem. One, we have the fake natty problem, which we still have on some people. It's just now more common on like a hybrid athlete or a runner. You know, bodybuilders now are more open and honest with PED use. And I, you know, put out videos back in the day of exactly what I was taking. Now I've unlisted those because, you know, I feel like it's somewhat contributing to the problem now. The just openness and the honesty of it has normalized it too much. But even with that, I put out all those videos and half the comments are people calling me a liar, saying that there's no way I was taking that little, yada, yada, yada. So, you know, the problem now is just social media has created so many clones of each other. Everybody is on gear, guys. I'm talking 95% of people. If you have any suspicion that they're on gear, guys. The amount of people that I personally talked to that have opened up to me, that are prominent in the fitness industry, that claim natty or have a big following that thinks they're natty, they've literally admitted to me that they're not, or shown me their blood work and all of that. It's gotten insane, guys, and it's gotten so dangerous. And so that's just a little bit of my rant. You know, first, guys, before you do any of this, first find out how you want to train. Find out how to properly train. If you're bodybuilding, first put on a good bit of muscle naturally. Learn how to eat right. You don't need to spend like 15, 20 years maxing out your natural potential, but, you know, really kind of utilize a lot of your natural potential first. And the biggest point, you know, as much as you can, remove the ego and stop doing things for social media. You know, do things for yourself. You know, focus on health as much as you can. And if you're kind of one of these David Goggins types that, you know, you want to just go and really push your body, you know, that's a lot of what I find to myself. You know, do it for you. Don't do it for likes on social media or popularity or fame or any of that. You know, if that comes, great. You know, that's a blessing. Hopefully you can help motivate other people and help others do the same, but be a positive influence. But you're gonna go down a dangerous path if you start doing this stuff for external reasons, because then you're gonna be trapped into doing it. And then, I used to love Rich Piana back in the day, but he was trapped into just trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it eventually killed him. So it's just a little bit of a rant, guys. I've got a lot more thoughts on this subject. I'm sure I'll talk about it more in the future, but that's it for today. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. God bless you all. Have a great day, guys.